This is Joe at Sierra Specialty Auto. Welcome back to the shop. This is another installment in my series, What's Broken Now? And today it's the gear shift boot on 2003 Ford Explorer. The same repair would apply for some adjacent year models and probably adjacent similar models, Ranger pickup, maybe some other Ford cars. I did research online about this job, and I found, I think, 3 videos showing people taking the column pretty much apart, taking upper and lower plastic housings off of the column, disconnecting the overdrive switch, which is apparently a fragile and finicky little connection, driving a pin out of the base of the gear shift lever to remove it, so that the small end of the lever can be passed through the small hole in the dust boot. I found some comments on the idea of lubricating the boot and pulling it over the head of the overdrive switch. The column itself, the shifter column itself, the wand, I guess you might say, of the shifter is about 7/16 diameter maybe, and the head of the overdrive switch, the handle at the outboard end that you grab a hold of to shift with, is maybe 1 inch. So the idea is that the rubber is resilient enough to stretch over the end of the handle without tearing. Nobody reported a bad result with that, which would be ripping the boot. Nobody took a video of it, though, to show in practice how it works. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to set up in the front seat of the car and see if this works, pulling the boot over the shift handle without doing any disassembly, just a little bit of lubricant, and pull the boot over and engage it into the opening in the plastic housing. So let's go out to the driveway and get into the car. Another thing that's mentioned in some of the videos is these plastic clips. They are mentioned in a couple of times as a feature that requires disassembly of the housing, but I'm not really seeing that. The most rigid one is this one at the bottom, and I think that can be worked in as the boot is drawn down into place. And these other ones on the top and the sides have enough give to them that I think they'll just pop right in. The key is getting this over the end of the column, and I'm going to back this up just a tiny bit so that I'm sure the end of the column shows. Right there is what I want to be looking at, and I need a little bit more. Alright, so here's the soap I'm using. This is just some kind of supposedly green dish soap that I just swiped off the kitchen counter. So I'm going to get a dab of that on my fingers and work it up here in the small area of the boot and see if that lets it go over. Just like that. All right. This one, I'm going to have to go get another tool. I'm just going to cut cut this off. I didn't bring a side cutters with me. I'll go get a pair and be right back. All right, let's cut this across the solid part. That takes care of most of it. Already got a nice rip here. I'm just going to tug with my fingers, pull that apart. I'm going to get that inside out and wipe some of the soap off. I don't think it'll hurt anything if it was to stay in there, but we'll get it fairly clean. All right, back in, right side out, a little more wiping. Come on, there you go. I think there. All right. So this lower part, let's see, where's the clip? There it is. I'll just draw that in around the ignition switch. And that snuck out there. Snap that in. Get that one in. And we have two in the top. Flex that a little bit. Get that tucked in. And that is it. Let's put a key in there and see. Draw you up just a wee bit closer for this. Put a key in. Yep. All right, that is all the way in, completely installed. The job is finished. The only thing I'm going to edit out of this is the time that I spent going after a pair of side cutters. So if you bring the side cutters with you, the total elapsed time as shown on this video will be the time it takes to do the job. I think that is a whole lot more efficient and practical than taking this whole thing apart. Taking 3 separate pieces of plastic off with 4 or 5 screws, fiddling with the little electrical connector for the OD switch, the overdrive switch, which apparently is a delicate and finicky little piece of hardware. Punching the pin out. This is in against a spring. It's a spring-loaded arrangement in there, so you have to fight the spring putting it back in. It just a little bit of lubricant, ordinary dish soap over the end of the shift handle, and just pull that on, snap it in, and be done. So this job's finished. Well, I'm glad to say that the people who wrote the comments were right on the money. It is possible to do the job without disassembling the column. I figured the elapsed time for the actual change part of the job was a little under 3 minutes. That's got to be a fraction of the time that it would take to do all of the disassembly. I'm thinking maybe 25, 30 minutes worth of disassembly and reassembly, doing it the other way. And again, less than 3 minutes from start to finish once you're sitting in the car with the materials and tools at hand. I'm glad to be able to document the effectiveness of doing it this way, and I'm going to call this job a complete success. That makes me happy. I hope you'll comment. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll come back and visit the shop again. Thanks for watching. The other Saturday morning, this little trailer went by our house. Later, as we returned from our morning walk, I decided to see if I could get some cell phone video. This is a cute little thing, about 13 feet long. Not much to it. This is an unofficial staging area for mountain bikers. They park here and get shuttled by a local bike shop up to the top of Mount Hough. That's Hough. If you're a mountain biker and you're interested, just Google that. They get taken up that road. We live just around the corner. Shuttled up to the top of that mountain, and then they come down, back down into the valley to the left in that direction, returning on this road back to the shuttle area.